I think you need to work people to get something done. I think this country has got real problems right now. The economy is in tough shape. We've got a healthcare system that isn't working for a lot of people. Our schools could be doing better than they are. We've got other issues. We've got other problems. Roads, immigration, you name it, all right? And some of these issues are really tough. But some of them, if you got half a dozen reasonable people in a room together, they could come up with a solution that would make Social Security solvent for the rest of our lifetimes. That's not so hard. What's hard is getting to the agreement. And we've had no ability to get people together and look beyond their narrow partisan interests. We've had too many people who are just out in Washington doing whatever their party leaders tell them to do and not thinking and then going home and saying whatever they want to the people who sent them there. There's a big difference between what you say and what you do. And that difference is bigger than ever in Washington right now. I think it's absolutely crazy that we're talking about taking the Medicare program and dismantling it. We've got senior citizens who depend on those benefits, including my mom. We've got families that depend on their parents being able to have health care. Otherwise, that burden would fall on them. And what they've proposed and what Reed Ribble has voted for on multiple occasions is a Medicare system that would not provide the same level of coverage it does right now, despite the fact that our senior citizens today have paid for those benefits over the course of their working lifetimes. What it would do is cost every single senior citizen in the country $6,500 out of pocket to start with for worse coverage than they get right now. And that figure goes up over time. So I don't see any sense in that. You're making these senior citizens pay a lot more for worse coverage and assume a lot of risk. We've got a system that works for our senior citizens right now. I don't think blowing it up is the right thing to do. Well, first and foremost, Social Security works. And it works because people have paid for their benefits that they get in their old age over the course of their working lifetimes, all right? Back before Social Security, an awful lot of elderly Americans, an awful lot of senior citizens lived in poverty. And what Social Security does is it's insurance. It provides a guaranteed level of income, not enough to live lavishly, but enough to get by, enough to buy the groceries, enough to stay in your home, pay the rent, whatever your situation is. And when Reed Ribble says Social Security is a Ponzi scheme, that says to me he doesn't understand this. He doesn't understand how important Social Security is to senior citizens here in Wisconsin. He doesn't understand that he's talking about the lives of hundreds and thousands of people here in Wisconsin and millions around the country. And that's a program that's worked. And it's a program that's worked for decades. And it's a program that means that almost all elderly Americans, almost all senior citizens have got a shot at retirement with some basic income security. They don't have to worry about trading off the grocery bills and the prescription drugs. And that's the world that Reed Ribble wants to send us back to.
You're wrong.
Social Security works. Social Security has meant that every senior citizen, yeah, that's right, Congressman Ribble has voted to end the Medicare program as we know it. What he wants to do would cost every senior citizen in this country, starting out $6,500 out of their pocket for worse care than they get right now. And that figure goes up over time. What's worse, it doesn't save any money. This isn't about saving money. This is about the overall amount of money spent in their healthcare system would actually go up under his proposal. So this is lunacy. What you've done is...
Well, where's the money go?
The money goes into the pockets of private insurance companies. We've got a system that's worked pretty well for most of our senior citizens. It's not lavish, but it's benefits they've paid for over the course of their lifetimes that let them have health insurance, that let them have health coverage at a time of life where all of us, knock on wood, are going to have some health problems just because we're old. What he wants to do, what Reed Ribble wants to do, is expose every senior citizen in this country to a lot more risk about their health and a lot more expense, starting out at $6,500, all while actually spending more money on health care. I can't think of a policy that makes less sense. We shouldn't be giving tax breaks to oil companies that make record profits. This all started 100 years ago or more when oil was an infant industry, where it was just getting started, where there's a couple holes in the ground in Pennsylvania. And the government thought it would be a good idea to encourage this new industry that was just coming onto the scene. And now fast forward 100 years or more, You've got ExxonMobil, the other big oil companies who are making a mint. They're making more money than they ever have. And they've got the same kind of tax breaks that were set up 100 years ago or more, except those tax breaks are worth a heck of a lot more than they used to be. So that's just crazy. The fact is that the big guys in Washington, the big oil companies, anybody with a big checkbook has been able to buy their own way for too long. And that's got to change. This country's got problems. We need to make smarter choices about how we're spending our money. And when it comes to a choice between preserving Medicare for our senior citizens or continuing to give out billions of dollars of tax breaks for oil companies that are making record profits, that's no choice at all. Not to me. But Reed Ribble's voted the wrong way on that. He's voted to dismantle the Medicare program as we know it and to continue giving ExxonMobil billions in tax breaks. That's not doing right by the people of Northeast Wisconsin.
Does it piss you off?
Look, this country's got real problems in this recession, and there's an awful lot of Americans who are hurting. Our government needs to work for us. We need to make sure that we've got schools that allow people to get an education. We need to have policies that make it easier for people to have decent jobs in the middle part of their life where they can go to work and support a family. That means not rewarding companies that ship jobs overseas. And that also means we need to make sure that there's Social Security and Medicare there for our senior citizens at the other end of life. We do have to tighten our belt. We absolutely do. But we should do it in a smart way. We shouldn't start by dismantling the Medicare program. We should start by looking at where money is wasted. Are we giving tax breaks to big oil companies that are making record profits and don't need it? Sure we are. How about we start there? Are we spending money in a train to nowhere up in Alaska that's not going to serve many people at all? Yes, that's what Reed Ribble voted to do. We should start by tightening our belt there. Those are the kind of cuts you start with, not by going after the health benefits of every senior citizen in this country. I agree with the president sometimes. He's asked for a line item veto. That would let him or any other president do more about the waste that we've been talking about the trains for nowhere in Alaska, about the boondoggle federal spending, no bid contracts. But I disagree with him sometimes too. I don't think he's been tough enough on the federal budget. I think that there's places that we can find to cut waste that are not going to affect the average American. Reed Ribble and his colleagues in Washington, they want to start with Medicare. They want to start with ending the Medicare program as we know it for every senior citizen in this country, costing them $6,500 a year out of pocket. I think there are other places that we can and should start. And I don't think President Obama has been aggressive enough on that front.